Again, with Mark showing his diligence, we stumble into episode 4 and we see that everybody, including Cecil, are trying to push him over the edge. His main objective is to start over with a clean slate with Eve. Well, we know this isn't going to be smooth and it's probably not going to happen. As we saw at the end of episode 3, he's been getting spied on. So as we empty up to episode 4, he comes in hot, rushing into the Pentagon, and he wants to put smoke on Cecil. As we find out, Cecil isn't the one spying on Mark, but someone is. That's a hell of a way to start episode 4 and a hell of a way to get Invincible's attention. So he's trying to get back to a normal life, and like I said, he wants to date Eve. At least he thought. Well, the twins, the ones who end up stealing the Declaration of Independence, they pop up and they find Mark. Truth be told, I don't know why they're being a part of this show, but hey, they're time travelers and that's going to play some part into it. But when they find him, they explain that there is a mad ruler, a king that is in the future, and Mark is a part of that future. And guess who that king is? It is no more than Immortal. They then explain to Mark that he has to come to the future to stop all the tyrannical nonsense that Immortal is causing. As we go deeper into the episode, we get into a little bit of the weeds. But Mark's future self is the ruler of Earth. Being a Viltrumite, we know that he has to control Earth. But then we know that Mark also does not want to kill people. Well, unless he has to. So the future Mark appoints Immortal as the king of Earth in this futuristic world. So as he is time traveled, Mark sees them and he is very, very confused. All Immortal wants is to be killed. He is no longer wants to be the king and he wants to be relinquished of his title. It is kind of insane and it's kind of heartfelt for Immortal. He has lived hundreds of lives. Hundreds of years, and he has had hundreds of wives. He explains to Mark that he told him to leave him in charge because Mark trusts Immortal. Mark, they don't go into too much detail, but it is alluded that Mark takes his family and leaves Earth, relinquishing his title to Immortal. He then is causing mad havoc because he knows those two twins who came from a different dimension to get him. They knew that they would eventually find Mark, and they did. So Mark comes back, he has all this explained to him, and they get into a crazy battle. Immortal versus Invincible, 1v1 in the future, and it is crazy. It is sad, and it is daunting. The only thing that you really get to see is Immortal is doing whatever it takes to be killed so he can have that title relinquished. Well, Mark ends up chopping his head off, and then he tells the twins, the crisis has been avoided, but you have to keep his body separated. If not, his head will grow back, and then he will be ruling again. The twins honor their word, and they send Mark back to his timeline so he continue his date with Eve. We then get this corny flashback with some mid-tier music, and pretty much Mark and Eve are just traveling the world enjoying each other's company. It is Valentine's Day, so we have to understand that. And as we go to the endings of episode 4, we get a Valentine's bust. And that's pretty much for Invincible's portion. Him and Eve, for the time, are living happily ever after. And then we got the second half. Alan the Alien. Part 2. So earlier in the series, I did a whole Alan the Alien part 1. It's kind of weird. It's completely out of nowhere, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the series up until now. Well, part 2 is actually kind of funny. So we see that Alan has been caught in the same housing area as Nolan as he waits his execution. This is funny because Alan is a super being. He's a super strong alien, and he is talking to Nolan telepathically. So it's a pretty good episode. It's kind of funny that we get the serious part of Mark just being balls to the wall, Mr. Vigilante, Mr. Everything has to be correct. And you see Nolan, who's pretty much given up on life, but Alan is not going to let that happen. So we do get a typical Valentine's Day ending, no pun intended. Alan unleashed the Battle Beast, and this figure is pretty hilarious. He's pretty cool, and he's pure violence. He wants a noble death. He sounds like a Viltrumite, but he's got the face of a lion. It's a whole thing. But the Battle Beast, Nolan and Alan, they end up fighting to try to release Nolan. Nolan ends up having an epic battle, and Nolan and Alan end up 2v1ing and killing one of the Viltrumites. Needless to say, Nolan is back. With King Dingaling now free, I wonder what they're going to bring into episode 5. The king of the Viltrumites has returned. Invincible is getting stronger. And also, we got to remember Oliver is into the picture. As I said earlier, and as I hinted to, I think the big 3 team up is inevitable. What is going to happen? I'm not sure, but that is the review. Let me know what you thought about episode 4. I'm dropping these week to week. I appreciate all support. I appreciate everybody liking. Comment below and tell me what you thought about episode 4 of Invincible. But We're back, baby. This show is finally back.